Hello and welcome to my review of the Legiones Astartes Contemptor Dreadnought for Warhammer the Horus Heresy from Games Workshop. Now this is my review of the full plastic Contemptor Dreadnought. One of these will cost you £36 and consists of a whopping 164 plastic components, which is actually more components than both of the Leviathan Siege Dreadnoughts, the one with the claw and drill weapon and the one with the range weapons. So you're getting a lot for your £36, especially if you can get it at a discount as well for about £30. My only gripe at the moment is I wish that they'd bundled this full kit in with the Age of Darkness box set. It's literally an extra sprue. If you go back and watch my unboxing of this Contemptor Dreadnought, which is on this channel, you'll see that there's an extra sprue with a load of different weapons. Now of course mine's armed with dual twin link las cannons, which of course you can't make in this kit. You can only make it with one set of las cannons. You only get one of each of the weapons in this set. I've obviously grabbed the twin-linked las cannons from the Age of Darkness box set and put them on here to make it kind of like a Mortis Dreadnought of old. Straight away I'll say it's a very nice kit. It will take you a while to build though. It's a bit tricky. I think I did do a live stream of building this or the Leviathan, and this is a very important point I need to make, in that everybody wanted plastic Heresy mainly because of the price and to get people into playing Heresy, and plastic is a preferred material, I guess, in terms of like build and working with compared to resin. Not everybody can deal with resin or knows how to clean resin or is comfortable with when super glue sets. It's hard to then change the pose as opposed to plastic, where you can glue and there's a bit of give. But one thing I will say is, although it's £36, which is of course, with a discount, is way cheaper than the resin Contemptor Dreadnought, which we'll do size comparisons in a moment with, you are losing out on time to build it. This one will take you probably twice as long to build than a resin Dreadnought. So it's really how much you value your time. If you want to get Contemptor Dreadnoughts on the field quicker, and I guess easier, then the resin Contemptors are still the way to go. The resin Contemptors and the resin Sicarans are still my go-to kits if you're new to resin. They teach you a fair amount of skills that you can then apply to the much larger kits like the Titans and things. So the structure of this video, as always, after that little preamble, I will be looking at this miniature up close and personal, looking at all the detail and things. Then we'll have a decent look at the spare parts. We'll go through some size comparisons, and then I will go through all of the rules for this Contemptor and its possible loadouts and things. So first things first, I think it's a very nice looking Dreadnought Contemptor. It's a faster Dreadnought. Pose wise, I've gone for it just standing straight with both of the flat feet. You do get I think one or maybe two options for the feet moving forward. The weapons that it comes with are plentiful. There's so many. You don't have to put this assault launcher on the top. Of course there's one of the weapons it's equipped with, which is twin link las cannon or Gravis las cannon. These are all the others. You get the Cares assault cannon, which you might have seen other Contemptors with. You get the Gravis autocannon, a Gravis plasma cannon, conversion beam cannon, a Gravis melter cannon, Volkite dual culverin, Gravis bolt cannon, and of course the Gravis las cannon, which mine is equipped with. You also get the fist. You get two different types of fists. You get different chest plates now, and chest plate filigree, I'm going to call it, as well as different heads. This one's got a laurel. I'll probably use that on a different one. So a lot of options. One could say too many options, but yeah, that's another matter. Currently, the only way to get the different weapons, if you wanted like duplicate Cares assault cannons, is Games Workshop do sell the weapons frames separately for £16, which is a fair amount, and they don't sell them on any third-party sellers, so you're not going to get a discount. You're going to straight up pay the £16 just for that one sprue. Also, an important point to make is that with frame 2, you're not getting this shoulder part, this shoulder piece here. You're getting the weapon connector, or elbow, whatever you want to call it, but you don't get this. You only get this piece in weapon frame 1. So that means if you do pick up a resin Contemptor Dreadnought, if you want any of the weapons in frame 2, you're gonna also have to pick up frame 1, and then that's kind of the same price as a full Contemptor Dreadnought anyway. Forge World, obviously under the direction of Games Workshop, have shot themselves in the foot by pulling all of the resin weapons separately, being able to be purchased separately, and unlike the Leviathans, which you can still pick up, I would have preferred to be given that choice, because the thing is, people would have still bought this Contemptor Dreadnought in droves, but they would have also bought a load of extra resin weapons too, and it baffles me when they do this, but yet still bring out Mark III shoulder pads from, you know, 5 to 10 years ago as made to order, when they can't keep the resin weapons, but they can keep resin weapons for other dreadnoughts. It's odd. It really is odd, and yeah, that was a massive mistake on their part, and I hope they do bring the resin weapons back. In preparation for that, what I would suggest you do is, I've glued this one because I always wanted it to be a twin-link lascannon dreadnought, but the joint here you can magnetise. You could probably use 2x1 magnets, or even 1x1 magnets in that joint, and then you can, you know, hot swap your weapons. Bearing in mind you only get 2. Bearing in mind you technically get 4 of these joint things, because you get, you know, a pair on frame 1 and a pair in frame 2, so you could have the option of magnetising sort of 4 weapons at least, so there you go. And I would suggest you do that, especially for your resin Contemptors too. So that's a little look at the Contemptor Dreadnought. It's the kit that I feel should have been included in the Age of Darkness set. I mean, you know, they've included a Spartan, but they could have just taken a sprue out of that and provided us with the Proteus. So, you know, it's quite frustrating that they did take a sprue out for the you know, the actual Contemptor kit. Just looking at the instruction guide, which is a nice instruction guide, it's quite straightforward to put together. You've got a few options there, look, so you can have a melee weapon and autocannons, or dual melee, or melee and Volkite, and you know, there's so many configurations you can go through. I'll talk about the options a little bit later on, but first, before we do that, let's have a quick look at the spare parts. So here's what I mentioned about the spare parts. I've kept these very safe because, let's face it guys, these are £16 each. So I've still got the Volkite, which I'm keeping, and the Plasma, which I'm keeping for the Dark Angels Dreadnought. You've got the conversion beamer on there as well, and the Kiri's assault cannon, and those joints, but yeah, unfortunately for my resin Dreadnought, I'm gonna have to buy another sprue 1 to have those extra shoulder parts, to utilise them in the resin Dreadnought. You also get the different head there, and a load of fist weapons, and the chain fist as well, which I would like to put on my Death Guard resin Dreadnought actually. You've also got sprue 1, these are the remaining weapons. So you've got heavy bolters, multi-melter, the melter cannon, the auto cannons, and another fist, as well as fist mounted weapons. And then there's just a few things here, like the different chest plates. So you've got this one with a skull and lightning around it, this one which is clearly like Sons of Horus, and a plain one, and then the Aquila one. So I've, you know, there's 4 chest plates there, you know, a decent number. So size comparisons then, and it is Dreadnoughts galore today, and we've got a number of Dreadnoughts. So this was the Contemptor Dreadnought that came in the set. they're going to be exactly the same size there. This is the resin Dreadnought, the Relic Dreadnought from Forge World. Again, same size, a little bit different, more detail on the Relic Dreadnought. There's a few other things going on there with that one. Don't know why I put the Storm Bolters in, but probably because that's what it came with. So yeah, I think the Relic Dreadnought on Forge World is painted in the Ultramarines colour. It's not an Ultramarines Dreadnought, it is just a Relic one, and you can paint it any colour as normal. You've got the ranged Leviathan Dreadnought, which I have not yet put a review out. The weapons aren't magnetised yet, they're just held in by white tack, but I wanted the ranged Dreadnought just stood there, you know, a bit like that one really. So that's where it stands with the Contemptor. Comparing it to vehicles then, I've got a Rhino, so that's where it is on the Rhino. It's a bit taller than a Rhino, but of course a Rhino's got a bit more mass. A Predator, which is, I'd say, same size as a Rhino really, but with that extra turret on the top. I haven't yet reviewed the Predator, but I will do soon. We've got the Kratos even. Let's just move the Kratos in. Gives you an idea of the Kratos. I mean, I would always pick more Dreadnoughts over these big lumbering tanks anyway, just for the points costs and things, but still, that gives you an idea of the size of the Kratos, really, more than anything. And finally, the Spartan Land Raider. Massive tank, and I think the Contemptor just a little bit shorter. So yeah, it's a nice las cannon fest going on there. And then a couple of like troop size comparisons I want to make. So we've got the Mark 6, a Mark 3 and a Mark 4, along with some Cataphracti Terminators. So yeah, Contemptors, they're going to be one of the tallest units that you have, along with the Leviathan. Definitely going to stand out on the battlefield. It's not really, you know, it's difficult to hide them, but I just thought I'd show you those. And then just a quick comparison with some 40k miniatures. You can use Contemptor Dreadnoughts in 40k. They do have rules. They're obviously in the Space Marine Codex. And that's where Contemptor stands next to Primaris. Still a fair bit taller than a Primaris. Okay, now this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Contemptor Dreadnought. You'll find the rules in your Liber Astartes army book. One of the great things about Legion Contemptors is that they are an elite choice. So, you know, if you didn't want to use that Legion Rapier battery, or if you didn't want to go for Terminators or Veterans, you can always just pick up a Contemptor, and I would strongly suggest you include at least one in your army. So the Legion Contemptor Dreadnought Talon is 175 points. That does mean that you can include up to 2 additional Contemptor Dreadnoughts in one Talon. That gets a bit pricey, but it's possible. You can take a Legion Dreadnought drop pod as a dedicated transport, and it doesn't use an additional force organisation slot. Not sure whether I would, maybe for like the close combat orientated legions, put it in a Dreadnought drop pod, but I would much rather put a Leviathan Siege Dreadnought in a drop pod than just a Contemptor. Depends on what it's equipped with though as well. So what do you get for these points? Well, the stat line reads it's a movement of 8 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill of 5, strength and toughness of both 7, 6 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks, leadership 9 and a save of 2+. Its standard equipment is a Gravis Bolt autocannon, Gravis Power Fist with inbuilt combi bolter, Atomantic Deflector, and the special rules Legiones, Astartes and Dreadnought Talon. So any Contemptor Dreadnought in the unit may replace its Gravis Bolt cannon and or Gravis Power Fist and inbuilt combi bolter with one of the following: Gravis Bolt Cannon for free, Melter Cannon, for 5, autocannon for 10, plasma for 10, conversion beam cannon for 20, Volkite dual culverin 15, Kiri's assault cannon 15, Gravis las cannon 20, Gravis power fist with inbuilt combi bolter for 3, and a Gravis chain fist with inbuilt combi bolter for 10 points. Any Contemptor Dreadnought may replace an inbuilt combi bolter on either a Gravis power fist or Gravis chain fist with one of the following: inbuilt heavy flamer for 5, inbuilt plasma blaster for 10, inbuilt graviton gun for 15, inbuilt melter gun for 15. Any Contemptor Dreadnought may take one of the following: havoc launcher for 10, helical targeting array for 10. So as you can see, lots and lots of options with these Contemptors. There's a few loadouts I would go for. I mean, obviously the one in the Age of Darkness box set, I'm not sure which Legion to give it to, but I'm probably not going to give it to Dark Angels. I just picked the autocannon and the fist with the claws, just because it looked cool. I went for the ruler cool, and to get a feel of that kit itself. This one, as you can see, I've gone much more focused on gaming and picked out the Gravis las cannons. I feel like there are 3 kind of main loadouts you can go for when picking your Contemptor. You can go for the long range fire support weapons platform, like I have with the Gravis las cannon, and you know, you are getting 4 strength 9 AP2 range 48 inch shots with this, so pumping out as many shots as a Spartan, you know, except without that twin link special rule. You could pick dual plasma cannons if you wanted, but they do have gets hot, and they lower that range of down to 36 inches. You could go for conversion beam cannons for that longer range, but they are just 1 shot each with a 3-inch blast. The second loadout you could go for is full melee, so go for the normal power fist or even the chain fists with inbuilt grav or plas, but at the end of the day you've only got your 3 attacks, so I would question just how much damage you can output with those 3 attacks, and then you've got to be moving it 8 inches every turn to get into close combat, and the closer it is to your enemy, the more in range it's going to be of some deadly weaponry. But that Atamantic Deflector, the invulnerable 5+ save, is going to save it somewhat, along with its toughness 7. And then the third option you can go for is kind of a mixture of both close combat and ranged. The ranged weapons you could go for the twin link las cannon or the plasma to give a bit of long range fire as it's moving forward. Couple that with a power fist. Yes, it means you're not using the power fist until you get to an enemy, but at least while you're stomping towards an enemy, you can be damaging them. The Havoc launcher, I just put it on because it's rule of cool, really. I don't know whether I'd pay the points for it. It's an interesting little weapon with a 3-inch blast, strength 5, 48-inch range, and it's twin linked. It can just soften some targets up, really, but of course it's in no way near the realms of that Phosphate launcher that the Leviathan has. Instead of the twin link las cannon with the fist, you could also go for a melter cannon, which kind of forces your opponent to deal with it at range. And of course, if they're focusing fire on Contemptor Dreadnought that can soak up damage with its 6 wounds and the 2+ and 5+ invulnerable, and then clearly they're not firing at other things such as a Dreadnought full of Terminators, although at that point it's going to be quite a costly army. But you get what I mean. What do you guys think of the Contemptor Dreadnought? And do you agree with me that Forge World should have continued to sell those resin weapons separately? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.